Joining us now to review some of the headlines of today's newspapers from around the world is Arise News analyst Emmanuel Malabai Tefeni. We missed you on Friday. You're back.
Good
to
morning,
see you.
Ruben.
Good to see you.
Yes, good morning, Rufai.
Yes,
good morning, Victoria Tundu, MQ Abiola.
Good morning, Mr. Fedi.
Yes, Ruben, you will giggle. Now let's start the review with this day, Nigeria's newspaper of records. The lead story, PDP summons emergency meeting as another governor defects to APC. Yes, you'll see that story on page 11 of this day newspaper. The full story is in that paper, is in page 11 of this day newspaper. Now, expectedly, it's been the routine of the APC to harvest governors and other political office holders from the opposition party, the PDP. But this is one defection, if it takes place eventually, that perhaps will attract some legal fireworks. Because recall that Machawale became governor because the Supreme Court disqualified the APC as a party and the PDP became the beneficiary. Now, was that ticket which given to Matawale or the PDP as a party? There are indications that the PDP may challenge that in court if the governor eventually defects, because what the Supreme Court did was to disqualify the APC as a party and all their candidates, in which case the PDP and all candidates became beneficiary. But again, the governor only last week dissolved his cabinet, sacked all political office holders, perhaps to avoid a situation where when he defects, others will refuse to join him. But we'll see how it pans out. But again, the Nigerian politician and defection, part of the political culture, if you will, amongst our politicians, whether they are intelligentsia or they are ordinary folks, once they become politicians, because Ruben was saying the intelligentsias should take over and avoid this kind of situation. I don't know where you will classify a certain professor whose name is Ben Ayade. Is he an ordinary folk? Is he part of the intelligentsia? Yes. So it doesn't really matter where you belong. Once you are a Nigerian politician, we expect this to happen. But we must also caution that defection is not peculiar to Nigeria, because only last week, the immediate past Speaker of the House of Commons in the UK, John Bercow, defected from the Conservative Party to the Labour Party. And if we go back in time, one of the all-time greats in British politics, Winston Churchill, is on record that he defected at least twice in his political career. Perhaps Nigerian politicians are in good company there. But let's just move on to other stories quickly. The Punch newspaper. Petrol landing cost hits 232 naira 32 naira. Subsidy rises to 5.58 billion daily. April landing cost 216 naira. Devaluation, rising crude price, fueling price increase. Rising subsidy payment reduces funds for infrastructure development, according to Bismarck Rowane, a member of the Presidential Economic Advisory Committee. Now, the Punch newspaper also reporting, no, the Vanguard newspaper also reporting this story. Fuel subsidy must go to move economy ahead. Federal government says fuel connected to commoners already deregulated. Refineries not working because of subsidy. Discloses Nigeria accidentally discovered 206 trillion cubic feet of gas reserves. At National Assembly ready to pass PIB, strike looms if petrol prices rises, NLC. Now, this is a very dicey situation. Labour and the government have been in that dialogue for quite some time now. But you and I know that we just have to do the needful. The government at one point must summon the political will, bite the bullet, and remove this subsidy once and for all. Because come June, there will be no money to share because the NMPC, according to this day reporting, will be is proposing 114.3 billion naira deduction in June, in which case there will be no money to share. If there's no money to share and state governments cannot pay salaries, the same labor will go on strike. We support all freedoms, freedom of speech, free market as well. And we know that if petrol is sold at market-determined price, yes, it may be injurious, it may be painful initially, but we'll be freeing some funds to do other things, attending to infrastructure, attending to education, and health care. But somewhere along the line, somebody has to strike the balance and also bite the bullet. Now, the Guardian newspaper, firms to produce from neighboring countries over new gas prices, others. Yes, with the new gas price regime expected to take off July 1, alongside challenges of currency devaluation and access to foreign exchange for raw materials, local manufacturers have told the Guardian newspaper they are contemplating moving their production hubs to neighboring African countries under the African Continental Free Trade Area regime. Well, this is a sad story, but again, we have to do the needful, because if you don't create the environment for manufacturers to thrive, there's no way Nigerian companies can compete under this African Continental Free Trade Area agreement. But some smart, if you will, manufacturers are also thinking of using that opportunity to move their production across the borders to other countries that you have friendlier environment. Now, if we look at the Daily Trust newspaper, this is a worrisome story also. Boko Haram, others, in mass recruitment of bandits, leaders govern territories using Islamic codes, how they share logistics, intelligence. Government must disrupt incursions. According to this report, a recent report by the International Crisis Group, ICG, pointed out that since late 2019, ISWAP and Ansaru have started taking credit for attacks in the Northwest. In October last year, according to the report, ISWAP claimed responsibility for an attack on Nigerian troops in Sokoto. Tells you that the Boko Haram insurgents and the ISWAP insurgents, they are already mingling with the bandits in the Northwest, and in fact, recruiting them into their fold. And if you recall the description given by some of those students that were kidnapped, they said these bandits who came were as young as themselves. The only difference being that they were carrying heavy guns. So Nigerian children recruited by bandits, now also being recruited by ISWAP. If we look at the Abuja Inquirer, the city newspaper of Abuja, yes, council chairman, FCTA at war, shun security meetings, appoint chiefs despite embargo, collect illegal levies through thugs. That's what is happening in Abuja there. Now, the foreign newspaper, quickly, if we just look at the independent newspaper of UK, yes, vaccine chief in race to test impact of booster jab. Yes, the trial for a third jab to enhance the impact of the vaccine is on. But the problem is that there are not many volunteers who have taken 2 jabs to come forward for a 3rd jab as part of that trial. Professor Saul First, the chief medical scientist in charge of that trial, is having that headache.
Emmanuel Efenim?
Yes.
Well, it looks like we've run out of time on the issue of party defection. I would have loved to comment for that, the effect of Section 177 of the 1999 Constitution and also Section 68, and how that has not been properly tested. We hope that we won't wake up one day when the president of Nigeria will defect from one political party to another, and then we will have a big debate and a constitutional crisis on our hands. But thank you very much all the same.